Welcome to Yellow with Susu. I'm your host, Susu, and tonight's guest is sound engineer and content creator Daniel with Who is Get2gether. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, how's it going?
Thanks so much for joining our podcast tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So, Daniel, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to pursue a career in music and sound engineering? So, basically, tell us who is Get2gether.
Yeah, of course. So I've been doing sound engineering for about just like 6 years now. Uh, It all really started just with me loving music as a child. So I was always like super into music. We'd go on family trips and holidays. I'd always just have my headphones in, uh, listening to something. It's just always been like a huge part of who I was. And a friend of mine who was also super into music wanted to do the same thing. So we kind of made like a little pact, like, okay, this is what we're gonna do with our lives. So at the time, we didn't know how serious it was gonna be. For him, it ended up not being so serious. He stopped about a couple of weeks later. But for me, I ended up like, I just loved it and I just kept going with it. And so yeah, it started from just recording vocals into now like producing, engineering, and then doing content creation around all of that as well. So I just kind of developed like that. But I mean, with my friend was kind of really where it all started.
So that's kind of what launched you off. So I was going to ask you, what motivated you to start creating content, and how do the two fields supplement each other?
So I started creating content to promote my business. So I was never like when I started doing sound engineering and like production at first, like I'll kind of explain the progression. I started off with just like a Google Drive link with a couple like songs for a portfolio, like super unprofessional. But that's how it started. And then as I got more clients and stuff, I wanted to, take myself more seriously and present myself more professionally. So then eventually I got a website, and I got into thinking about how can I make just like a bigger business and more people know about me. And then at the time I just started recording some videos and I thought they would just be for my website. But then as I kept making videos and kept finding out like, okay, maybe I want to niche down into this type of video, or I want to do these type of videos. Like I just ended up like creating content for YouTube. And then from that, I just ended up like clipping shorts from that content and posting like Instagram reels and TikTok and stuff like that. So it all just came from like wanting to bring more exposure like to my services. So it was like kind of a real like organic way. I didn't really ever think about like content creation. Yeah, it really just came through my business.
That's very awesome. And I've personally seen your content and it is very cool. You have a lot of modern stuff and you work with so many artists, and I saw a lot of your clips. So it is very interesting and it looks very professional as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I try. I try and make it look good.
No, of course. And I was going to ask you, so Daniel, where are you from?
Yeah, so I was born in Canada, but I grew up in South Africa. That's the accent that you can probably hear a little bit of. I was in South Africa till I was, when was it, 18? And then I moved back to Canada when I was like just before I turned 19. And I've been here for like 3 and a bit years now.
Do you feel being from all these different places, and I know we spoke before, you've traveled to Los Angeles, you've been out to Texas, so you've kind of been all over. Do you feel that having that type of background kind of gives you a little bit more when you're making music, that you're able to understand different styles?
I think, yeah, I think like the curiosity to know about different cultures and like what type of and cities and what type of sound the city has, and like because there's a very in terms of different genres, like, oh, this is East Coast American, or this is very like West Coast Canadian. Like you can kind of pick up on some things. I don't think you would like necessarily have to travel there to like pick up on that, because even when I was just in South Africa, like I was in a bunch of like group chats with dudes from like Vancouver in Canada, and none of them knew I was in South Africa. I was just like pretending I thought I was in Vancouver with everyone else.
With everyone else, but they're like,
Yeah,
where's that awesome accent from?
yeah, exactly.
Right
That
on.
was just before I moved. But so I think being in that group chat was pretty helpful too, because then I was seeing like the type of stuff that all of them were making and posting. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a head start for when I moved here, which is like why I wanted to be in that group chat. But yeah, there's definitely like different sounds in different cities. Traveling probably helped with that, but I think if you're like the internet's just like you can do so much on nowadays. I think if you're just like getting in the right group chats and talking to the right people and following the right people, you can kind of find that all out on the internet too. But traveling to those places is definitely still nice, and it's definitely still a bonus.
Right on. And
Yeah,
again, it gives you a hands-on experience dealing with different cultures, dealing with different people. And, like you said, we can use technology to learn about sound, but again, you had like that first hands-on experience, which is really awesome, which is kind of going to ask you, could you share some of your most memorable projects as a sound engineer?
yeah, of course. Um, a couple comes to mind, especially for one artist or a couple artists. One would be Aurora Takeover. I've done two albums for him now that have just come out. Well, one just came out about a week and a half ago. And then one came out, I think, towards the end of last year. Must have been like November. Um, but yeah, we started working together it must have been like July last year. And yeah, I just love working with him. Is is amazing, and his vocals are amazing. And also, he gives me so much creative freedom with it, which I think I love as well. The fact that he's so naturally talented, but then I also have so much creative control on my side. Like he trusts my creative vision when it comes to the mixing process. Um, that's just been like a huge, huge blessing and like a really, really dope artist to work with. So yeah, shout out to Royal Takeover.
That's really
Definitely my
awesome.
latest album. And then Amy Lee as well. So Aurora, firstly, just to finish Aurora, he's from Massachusetts. I think that's how you say it. Massachusetts.
Yes, yeah. Don't worry. I grew up in America and I can barely speak English myself. So
It's a long one. It's a difficult one, but yeah. So he's like East Coast American, and then I was gonna say Amy Lee. She's from the UK, and she's a singer from the UK. We've done quite a couple songs together too, and I always love working on her stuff too. There's some rappers I also like working with, but I find like with the singers I have a little bit more like creative
output.
control, and there's more things I can do with singing vocals sometimes than opposed to rap vocals, which I find like creative and interesting. So
Oh, wow. Well,
so yeah.
yeah, I was going to ask you, like, so I know you work with all these different artists and all these different types of music. Can you tell us what does a sound engineer actually do?
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be different, like depending on who you ask. Obviously, this overlying theme of in terms of the music industry, we work on songs, we make songs sound better than they did in the demo phase. So basically, take a song that is a demo and we polish it off for the radio and for streaming services, so that people can listen to it in the best possible quality. With me, it's a little bit different than maybe a traditional engineer because I don't have like a lot of in-person sessions. For me, I do most of my work online as like a remote engineer. Um, I do like the in-person sessions, and I've been like saying I've been wanting to do some more recently. But I just love the freedom that I have of remote engineering because I can work when I want to. Um, It's not like I have to be at the studio at a certain time. I can kind of plan my work around my day if there's anything else important. Like for me, going to the gym is really important. So, being able to slot that in every single day is a must for me. And yeah, so just having some flexibility with that, I think, is nice. But yeah, that's what an engineer does. Like I said, for me, it's a bit different, but yeah.
Well, that's really awesome because I know, I mean, like you said, so you're basically doing sound mixing and you don't only just help out other artists. I mean, you actually create beats and you actually make some music too. So that kind of is like multi-talented because I know not every person in the sound department or a sound engineer is creating.
Yeah, yeah. So as well
Especially,
as engineering, which is the mixing and mastering, I produce as well. So I make the beats. Um,
which are
it
really cool.
started off. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard them. Like I said, like I've heard some of your stuff, and what's interesting because sometimes I make music. I think I've let you hear some of my stuff, and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, I know. And like you said, like sometimes like if I'll do some of my vocals, but sometimes I'm not, because I don't consider myself a singer, but I've created some music, and sometimes I use my vocals, sometimes not. But mixing and sound mastering is such a huge part of it, and it can really make a difference in a person's song. I was going to ask you, what are some of the challenges you face in the music industry, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, for me, running my own business and really just starting everything by myself and not having like many contacts, it would be, getting the client base every month that you need, uh, and finding new cool artists to work with. I mean, the internet makes it easier, um, but there's still always a balance of, okay, I want to work with really cool artists, but at the same time, I want to get paid enough, because
Yeah.
I also have bills. So it's kind of that juggle of like, maybe sometimes I do take free projects if the artist is like bigger and it could be good exposure. But that's just something that comes into play. So I think kind of juggling that has been difficult, and connecting with a lot of artists, because sometimes business can get in the way, and artists don't always want to pay for things, and
Right.
it's a very personal music's a very personal thing to some people, and some people don't want to get money involved and stuff, and that's understandable. So I think doing it as a job in a creative field where you have to demand, money for your product or service can be challenging because not everyone is open to that. Um,
But it is a
but
job. But it is a
yeah,
job. But so,
yeah,
as like I said, as an artist myself, it is very difficult, the topic just in general of turning your dream into a reality, and
yeah,
making it a real career, because again, I think a lot of people kind of confuse, just because something is art doesn't mean that it's not valuable, in your time and the energy that you put it. I mean, you are really working. And again, I know a little bit about sound, but anybody out there listening who is an artist who does want their music to sound professional, it really makes a difference when you have a good product, a good product or a good project. So any artists out there listening, don't be afraid, I can't talk tonight. don't, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. So
yeah.
I
No, it's very true.
mm,
Yeah, sorry, not to cut you off. It's
no,
very true though. Like, especially as you get to like, a couple years into music and you really want to see big strides happen, I think that's very important. And I always do, because I mean, I'm 22 now, but my age or even people younger, like, they might not have the money to pay me for a project. So that's why I still try and do things for artists like that, like give away free beats, or I have a bunch of different free beat packs or free sample packs, a bunch of videos giving free value. And that's why I try to still like have a little bit of something for everyone with my business, where I can still give, people who maybe might not be able to afford it or don't want to invest the money right now. I still try and give them something of value, um, and just let them know, like, I'm here to support you, and if you ever do want to work, that would be awesome.
that's really cool, because you're kind of like opening, you're giving people opportunity, and for you to be so humble and genuine. I'm a big believer that, if you bless someone, more blessings will come your way. So just to hear that from
Hmm.
somebody who is 22 years old, and you've kind of got I mean, you've got your stuff together for somebody who, is from that generation. So just you being able to understand, like, hey, I'm still going to create this. I'm still going to I'm still going to work on my business, but I'm still going to be able to give opportunity to others. I mean, you really are helping people's dreams come true, and that's
Thank you.
really amazing as well, Daniel. So, and that I was going to ask you, how do you approach, because you're working with all these different kinds of artists, how do you approach capturing the perfect sound? I mean, is there something special that you do throughout your creative process?
Yeah, I mean, it would the perfect sound is obviously subjective, and it would be the perfect sound for a pop singer is not the perfect sound that I'm going for like a rapper, like straight up rapper. So that perfect sound is obviously changes per project, but I try and kind of, it also depends if it's a new client or if it's a client that I've worked with before. If it's a client that I've worked with quite a lot before, I have songs that we've done together to go off of, and we kind of we have that history there and that record to like build up a sound together. And over time, there's no things that we can change to keep improving it. Um, but if it's a new client, at the end of the day, like you said a couple of minutes ago, it is a job, and my job is to give them the best product in their eyes. So, if there's in most cases, if there's like a creative decision and me and the artist don't agree, obviously I'm going to do what the artist wants because that is what I'm paid to do and that is my job. It would be selfish of me to do what I think is better if that's not what they envision and want for their song. So I think listening to my clients and my artists is like a very important one. I'm always putting like their ambitions and for the song first. Um, and then apart from that, I like to find like similar artists who are, quite big and kind of base certain sounds of that for the like whatever said artist I'm working on. If it's like a pop singer, maybe like in the hyper pop space, I'll go and listen to something Glaive or Bella or Dickens to kind of maybe get some ideas and like a bass sound and just kind of build off of there. And of course, I have my presets for different genres, so I can kind of at least have a base to work off of. Um, but yeah, I also generally, I do this every time I ask, every time I start a new project with an artist, I ask them like, hey, if there's anything specific you want incorporated into the mix, please let me know now so I can put that in for you. If there's any specific references that you have, please send those through. So I like to try and get a good idea of what they want before I start, unless they're like a fan of my work.
Your work is good.
Yeah, thank you. Well, not that they're not that my other clients aren't, but if they come to me and they're like, "Wow, I heard this song that you mixed for this person," I'm just like totally starstruck by it. Makes me, can you just take this project off my hands and just do what you think is best? Which I do get those, which I also really love. But I'm also not against like when artists have a very specific vision. Like I said, it's a job, so it is whatever they want it to be.
Where they want to say add this or can you change this, which again, like you said, each artist is different. Some people just want you to do specific things, and then again, some artists want to, like for me, when I work with people, I love to get their creative input, and sometimes depending on the project that I'm doing, I'm like, hey, do your thing. That's why I came to you. I love your style. I mean, please come join in, because again, being a creative person myself, I love to collaborate with people. So I can definitely relate to what you mean. It just really depends on the person and what they're looking for. And like you said, it's a job, but again, you are a creative person. So being able to have that input really makes a difference.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's like coming back to working with Aurora. That's why I really love working with him on his stuff, because he just gives me 100%. He doesn't give me any notes. He sends me the stems and he says, "Stem sent, payment sent, do your thing,"
Yeah.
And then I just have like total control over what I'm doing.
Because you're talented. You're very talented.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I really love like those types of projects. But like I said, I'm not upset when someone has something specific
like that they want to do. Well, I was going to ask you, do you have a favorite style of music, or are you listening to anybody right now, or
in terms of mixing, or just to listen to in general?
Just in general, like what type of music inspires you?
I mean, yeah, I go through phases. I would assume just like anyone else. Right now, I'm in a really like slow indie pop, soft pop vocal phase. So I'm listening to
K-pop.
no K-pop actually. I've never listened to K-pop. But yeah, I'm listening to a lot of Nova Moore, he's a really talented artist. Um, also, am I listening to a little bit of this artist called Bixby? He's a little bit like more pop. I like a lot of pop stuff. Fish Kid. What else am I listening to? I'm listening to the new Aurora album, which I mixed.
Okay, right on. We'll definitely have to check that out for sure.
Yeah, 100%. It's called Demise. The new one is called Demise. So if anyone wants to check it out, that one's really good. Then I also listen to like, especially for the beats and content stuff, I'm listening to the new Ian album. Victorian is like a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
It's like coming on right now. Kennedy XOXO, I've been listening to him for a while. I actually have a song with him. He's really dope.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, so those are just some artists I'm listening to. So it's kind of all over the place, but mostly pop and then some hip hop stuff
Like,
as well.
right, because you work with a lot of different artists. I've heard some of your stuff, and I saw how you have to, create different styles, which, again, takes so much talent, and it just shows your work. You really are a very talented and skilled person. And again, for being 22 years old and just so much experience, you've traveled all over. I mean, you've literally traveled to many different countries, so that's really cool. Yeah, for sure.
I like the traveling.
Yeah,
It's fun.
well, I would imagine as, your career grows and you're probably going to be traveling the world by who knows by the time you're my age. So,
That would be awesome.
yeah,
If
for
that happens, that would be
sure.
awesome. So
Cool. But,
yeah.
and like you said, like speaking about all this, was there like any specific artists when you were growing up that kind of inspired you to be like, okay, I really want to get myself into music?
Yeah, 100%. So the first big one was like Eminem.
Okay, of course.
Like when I grew up, I was like 7, 8, 9. I was super into Eminem.
Okay.
I knew so many Eminem songs off by
It
heart.
must have
And
been an
then
older brother or somebody because I mean, right? I think is Eminem kind of considered old school for you?
he would be for me, I guess. But I don't know. I think I'm kind of on the bridge of it. I'm 22. I think I'm kind of just on the edge of that bracket where it's like
Mhm.
we quite a lot of us did listen to Eminem when we were growing up, like in
Mhm.
our early 20s.
Oh, did you? Oh.
Yeah. I feel like quite a couple of my friends I speak to, they also listen to Eminem and stuff. So,
Mhm.
but I don't know. Yeah, we are definitely kind of like I think kind of like the last little bracket there that listen to him. But
That was
yeah,
my generation.
yeah. No, for sure. He's super dope though. Yeah,
50
so
that
he was
speaks. So it's funny.
yeah. But, yeah. So him early on, and then there's this South African rapper called Jay Marley who like made me really want to like make music. So he inspired me to like actually start making music. Um, I'd say those are the two big ones that I can think of. And then if I had to just pick a favorite artist, I know this is kind of unrelated, but just on the topic of artists and shout outs, I think Black Bear is probably like my favorite artist of all time.
Black Bear.
Yeah, Black Bear is like a pop singer.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I'll have to everyone listening. We're all gonna have to check out all these interesting artists you're talking about.
yeah, no, he has some big songs. Some people would probably recognize like Hot Girl Bummer was a
Mm.
big one. IDFC, that was a while ago. That was 10 years ago, actually, 2014. Um, no, he has some really big songs, but yeah, I listened to his 2017 album Digital Drug Lord one night, and I was just like lying in bed, eyes closed, headphones on, and I was just like totally mesmerized by that album. And I like totally fell in love with that album. So
You're just
um,
vibe
yeah,
right
I
on.
just vibing heavy. So yeah, he's a. I don't know if I would say he made me want to make music because I think I was already getting into it at that point, but he definitely inspired a lot of
Mhm.
my style. Even with mixing, he inspired a lot, like of my mixing style because he was one of the first artists I heard to really. It's a very common technique now, but it's still not used that much because it's considered a simple technique. So
Mhm.
a lot of people overlook it, but using low octaves in music, that's like a doubled layer. He was the kind of the first artist I noticed to really like bring that style to the forefront and utilize that a lot in his music, and it works so well. And I think quite a lot of people know how to do it, but a lot of people forget about it or overlook it. And it's just a really solid, like, strong foundational mixing thing that you can always do to make something sound cool and like a certain line or whatever sound interesting and unique. And so I definitely got that from him and just listening to a lot of his music. So yeah, Black Bear super dope. Kind of ranting about Black Bear right now, but yeah.
No, of course, and like you said, you do all these different types of stuff. So, you have like certain plugins or packs or beats that people can reach out to you for, and they can work with that as well. Which, again, I was going to ask you, did you ever play any instruments growing up?
I actually did not. I can't, like my family's very musical.
Mm.
My aunt in South Africa, she is like a music teacher.
Oh,
My uncle is a musician. My cousin did music for the longest time. My other uncle's also a musician, like a singer-songwriter.
Oh wow.
So I come from a very musical family, but I never picked up like music in school. Actually, like I didn't even do it in high school. Um, just because what I wanted to do was so different than like learning to play like the violin or something. Or I guess I could have learned the keys, like the keyboard would have been probably a good thing for me to do. And I did learn a little bit, like I can kind of improvise a little bit uh, on a piano or keyboard, but no, I wouldn't say I'm like I can play anything really.
But no, I mean you use technology to your advantage, and just when I'm hearing you speak, kind of and anybody out there, it can inspire them because hey, maybe you didn't have to play an instrument. For instance, when I was younger, I did a little bit of piano and actually cello, but for anybody out,
That's awesome.
thank you so much. But for anybody out there who maybe they didn't play an instrument, you can still get yourself into just like you learned all these different things, and I hope as we're talking, and I was going to ask you, where can somebody go and check out some of your music?
Yeah, I mean, the best place could be my website.
Which is who
I was,
together, because
yeah,
who is Get Together? That's your company.
that's my brand and company. Yeah, so it's just whoisgettogether.com. Just super simple.
Who is Get
Um,
Anybody who's listening, you can go check out all his music, his beats. If you want to, if they want to book you and check out stuff, they can get in touch with you that way. And then I know also you have an Instagram. So what is your Instagram handle?
yeah, so my Instagram is just the same. Who's get together.
Who is Get Together? And I know that's where you do a lot of your content, so they can check out your videos, your content, all your different.
Yeah, exactly. So those would probably be the big ones. You can go over to my YouTube too. But yeah, if you go to my Instagram,
So
you'll
you
see a lot of stuff that I've done and things that artists have tagged me and that I've mixed. And then if you go to my website as well, there's a bunch of beats, engineering portfolio, production portfolio,
uh,
stuff like that.
really cool. So is the YouTube is also Who is Get Together?
Yeah, same thing for YouTube.
Oh,
I try to make it the same across all platforms, so it's like
oh yeah.
easy to find, you know. Yeah.
And then so that's really awesome. So anybody out there listening, if you want to check out his all the different styles, his creations, if you want to book, if they want to book you, they can check that out, which I've personally checked out and it's very, very cool. Like I said, again, you're a very, very talented person, and I saw how you did different styles. So that's what's cool. Again, I'm Middle
Thank you.
Eastern. I grew up on we did a lot of classical music growing up, a lot of Arabic music. I used to listen to like a lot of rock alternative and bands, which I'd make you laugh because again, it's, I don't even know, but like we had
Rock stuff is cool. I like some rock alternative.
our first CD was actually Limp Bizkit and the Beastie Boys. So we grew up, with like lots of different types of stuff.
I've heard of both of those artists, but I can't say that I've
Yeah,
like heard any
yeah,
music. Yeah.
definitely different generation, but you should definitely check out the Beastie Boys. I mean, that's like old school. Used to be a really big thing back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a different style. It's definitely a different style of music, and I bet you, when you hear it, you're probably like, "Oh, I heard that song."
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah.
Like 311, Sublime, all those types of stuff. Like for me growing up, that was a lot of big impact in my style of music. So I really
Yeah.
like that chill vibe. But no, you have so much going on, and just such an amazing story, and just to hear you talk, and I've personally just learned so much myself just from talking to you. I was going to ask you, like, what advice would you give to aspiring sound engineers and content creators?
Yeah. I mean, it's it's a difficult field, I would say, to get into now. Um, Not that it's oversaturated, but just know that you're going to be working really hard. It's not something that is, it's very. I think the music industry as a whole, and artists will kind of relate to me on this and feel me on this, is very like glamorized.
Mhm.
And before you get into it, you kind of think it's all, you know, sunshine and rainbows, and then you get into it and you realize it's actually really hard work and it's really difficult to make things happen. And you're working tons of late nights, and but it's one like hell of a ride. It's super fun. It's I would say that you have to really be able to persevere, and you have to have a really good work ethic to like make a career out of it. Um, because I have a lot of people I've seen or like worked with or friends of mine who want to do it, but they're just the drive or the work ethic or the persistence over the years is just not there. And you know, maybe that's fine, maybe that's not for them, but
Mhm.
it just is something that you have to really, really stick to and really, really work hard on. So I'd just say really work hard, but then also just like any other industry, like learn from those who are already doing it, you know. If someone like me, if people ever have questions, you know, you can reach out to me and I'm like glad to answer any questions. Um, but try and like learn and then I can't remember what the quote is or the
Yeah,
saying is, but
we want to hear your quote.
my quote, I don't know who it's by, but I remember I saw it the other day in some video. It's something about like how you only need to change something by 3% for it to be new and exciting and captivating. So really just take what other engineers are doing, add your tiny twist to it, and run with it. And you might see some of the same success because it follows like 97% of the baseline of what that other engineer or content creator is doing. So yeah, learn from others is the biggest thing. And then also keep on like innovating, keep on changing. Like if something isn't working, like in terms of content or like maybe the way you're reaching out to artists, like your client acquisition strategy or content creation strategy, it's not working. Like no one's really hiring you for mixes or beats, or you're not seeing any views. Like just change what you're doing until you find something that works. You know, don't be stagnant in what you're doing because someone said it. This is the way to do it, or you really think this is the way to do it. It might be, maybe you just need to tweak a couple things within the strategy, but you do need to know when to abandon a certain idea and say like, okay, let's try something totally new here. Um, yeah, I guess that would be my advice.
No, no, and again, I mean, like you said, like just going for it, or if you see something not working, just try something else, and just be able to, like you said, persevere and keep going. Which I was going to ask you, like, being a man of faith, and I know you come from a Christian background. Do you feel like that has helped you get through it? Because again, being an artist, I always talk about this with other artists, is having that faith and the hope, and having your beliefs and your spirituality to help you actually get through it. Because I always talk to people, and it surprises me when someone isn't, because I'm like, how do you even get through this industry without believing in God, or relying on the universe? Because it's tough. So just kind of wanted to hear your output on that as well.
Yeah, of course. So I really got interested in Christianity like about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I didn't go to church like as a child or anything, but then getting into it within the last couple of years, I think it really helped me like a year and a half ago when I was really pushing really hard to make this work and I
Mhm.
quit my job
Oh
and
wow.
I was like really going for it and really trying to just rely on what I was doing with music. And it was a big stretch because at the time I wasn't making enough
Hmm.
when I quit my job. So I was kind of, I just felt like really anxious and stressed out about it. And I think um, that's when yeah, I don't know, that's when I felt closer to faith and religion. I felt like
Like the
that helped me get
spirituality.
through that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Like
that
to hear
really,
that. That's cool. No, no, like you said, like you like gave it all up. You put your faith in Jesus and God, and like, hey, lead the way. And like I mean, like I said, I've seen your work. So anybody listening, go check out his work. It's really good. So just to hear you, like, you said you're getting into it and you're kind of relying on your spiritual self. That's a big deal, because again, being an artist, being in music, being in film, being in media is not easy. You really I mean, if if you are like the type of person, like you said, you have to be able to be dedicated. And if put
yeah,
in the hard work, and like you said, if you're not feeling great about something, find your spiritual purpose. Rely on the universe, rely on God to get you through, because like, you don't have to give up. So hearing that from you, and especially like you said, you grew up a certain way, but you kind of were open to things and started to kind of rely on yourself in that way, that's really awesome to hear as well.
Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely exploring it now as I get a bit older. I really like a lot of the values and the
Yeah.
that Christianity brings.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
Yeah, so
really cool.
yeah,
I'm
we're
with
getting into
you
it
on
more.
that. Like I'm all about Jesus'
Yeah,
teachings because like you said, like it gets so tough. So like and the base of it too, just okay, love the neighbor, or if you're going through something, give it up to God. Don't hold that in your heart, learn to forgive. And a lot of people think, and I had to learn this myself, oh, we're forgiving for the other person but when you truly do forgive, you kind of like you you take the weight off your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you do it. It helps you a lot too. It's not just for the other person.
yeah,
It definitely does feel better, and it helps with anxiety a lot too. I think like kind of giving things up like in that way,
yeah,
um, and saying like some things out of my control.
right on. That's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like God, the universe will, I'm sure, figure it out for me.
uh,
Like, I think that is like that really helps a lot with anxiety and stress sometimes of everyday life. So
right on.
yeah, that's something that yeah.
No, it's so cool. Yeah, no, that's like I said, like for me, just like being spiritual and even hearing that from you, it's really awesome because I can agree, especially in this type of industry and the business. I I don't know what you do if you don't have hope or faith and just being able to, like
Yeah,
you said, and the creative process, because when somebody's going through something or you went through a situation, when you're harboring that in your heart, it kind of takes away from the space of you being able to be creative. So once you give that to God and you're like, okay, I'm giving this to you, let the universe lead me, it kind of gives you more room to actually be able to breathe, to start thinking, and then the creative process starts to work again.
that's actually very true. Yeah, I've never really thought about it like exactly in that way, but that's actually very true. Life lessons.
Life lessons. But no, and again too, there was something I read, because a lot of sometimes people when they're older, they don't want to take advice from people that are younger. But to me, I believe that true wisdom you can learn from anybody in any generation. Like look at you, you have so much that I learned with you today. And again, thanks so much for being on with us tonight, and
Yeah, of
anybody out
course.
there listening too as well. I was going to ask you, like, are there any shout outs or anybody you want to say what up to?
Um, Let me think about this. I definitely shout out Aurora. I've spoken about him a bit, but you know, I'll speak about him again in the shout out
Yeah,
section.
for sure.
Shout out Aurora and his new album Demise. Definitely go stream that. Shout out my friend Linga, who I work with a lot. Like maintaining stuff. He's also here in Canada, Ontario. My other friend BSR, who I work with, he's from Kolkata, India, actually, but he's one of
Oh
my good
wow.
friends as well. Yeah, who we do content creation with and production engineering songs too. So yeah, I'd say that's
That's
probably.
so cool. And I was going to ask you too before we wrap up here. Can you tell us about any of your upcoming projects or future plans you have? Because I know you have your own business. So is there anything you see yourself doing, or is there anything coming up?
Yeah. Right now it's really busy with I've been doing these new album deals, which a lot of artists have been taking me up on. So I'm working on a lot of albums right now, which is really exciting because I have my hand in these big projects and my name goes in those projects, so that's really cool. Um, who am I doing albums for right now? Donnie Franco is a really cool rapper from the UK. He actually just went on tour. Um, Mike Righteous, who's quite a big rapper there, so that's a really cool project to be a part of, an album to be doing. Javen Knight, who's an artist from the States. I'm busy working on an album for him right now, and then I'm busy working on another Aurora Takeover album. So another one for him.
Really cool.
And yeah, future plans is just really keep doing what I'm doing, keep scaling the business, keep working with the artists, get some bigger artists in here, and keep the content creation up. Yeah, just keep making like new types of content and experimenting with the content. I'm lucky now where I'm in a position where I have a little bit more time to spend on the content and experiment with that, and then keep doing the mixing and production as well. So yeah, I mean, just nothing. There's no one big thing that's happening. We're just
You have a lot
building
going
blocks,
on.
and
That's
yeah, just building blocks in every aspect of my business, I guess.
No, that's so cool to hear, and you know, we hope I hope to see you in the States one day. You know, like I said, you're kind of all over the place, and you have so much going on. And again, thank you so much for joining our podcast tonight, and even through all your endeavors. Just kind of wish you the best, and I hope to see more of your projects. And who knows, maybe one day you can mix one of my songs. So
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. Love to.
like, and anybody out there who's listening, you can reach Daniel on Who Is Get Together on Instagram, Who Is Get Together on YouTube, and what's the website again?
Same thing. Who's Get2gether.com.
whoisgettogether.com. And you guys can talk to him about your projects. He mixes music, develops beats, so just kind of like all around talent. So anybody out there who's thinking about starting a career in music, or somebody who's already worked with, he's done a lot of stuff. So again, thank you so much, Daniel, aka Who Is Get Together. Thanks so much for joining our podcast tonight. Really enjoyed speaking with you. So thank you so much. Yalla, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's great to be on.
Okay, I'm gonna pause. So I'm gonna be like, yalla, Daniel, and then you can be like, yalla, and then
Okay, I just say
okay.
it back. Okay. All right.
It's okay. Hold on one second. And then after I pause, I'll like actually talk to you, and then I'll hang it up so it doesn't like log out.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Daniel. It was really awesome talking to you tonight. And, you know, we look forward to hearing from you and all these amazing projects, and really wish you the best in your career. And just really, just really awesome. And thank you for taking the time to kind of teach us about music and sound engineering. So anybody out there, make sure you reach out to Who Is Get Together to work with you on any of your upcoming projects. So thank you again, Daniel.
Yalla.
Yalla. Bye.
Bye.